Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Sherry. I wanted to do like a couple of not really tips because I feel like everyone has their own way of designing, but I wanted to just share what I've done in my home. We live in a pretty small home. It's total 1,500 square feet, but the upstairs is mostly unusable right now. It's an attic space and it needs some work. So downstairs, I would say it's about 1,000 square feet, give or take. And it's an old home. It was built in 1904. Everything's sectioned off, and so the rooms can be quite small, which was a little hard coming into it because we had been living in apartments mostly. They were newer builds. The rooms were a little bit bigger. This house, specifically the living room, had kind of a unique shape. The stairs jut out and it creates a little bit of a crevice. So, yeah, lots of small spaces to work with. So, yeah, I just want to go over what I've done in my house, and maybe it'll help some of you when you're designing your own space. I did want to talk about two new pieces that I just added. We're back in our downstairs bedroom. We moved upstairs to the attic while it was a little bit colder to try and figure out the layout, which I have some solid ideas now. We're back in our bedroom. We wanted to spruce up the bedroom. It's been the last place in the house I've focused on. We went to IKEA again this weekend. I feel like we've been there a lot recently. I picked up the light here behind me, and I also picked up the light in the dining room. It's a pendant light. It's the first one we've actually switched in a rental space. And guys, it really was not that hard. It maybe took 30 minutes. Granted, Justin, my husband, did all the work. This area that I'm in right now, I am making it into literally like a mini living room, just like a cozy little nook in our bedroom to watch TV. We finally decided on a spot. So we mounted it in this corner and it's on a swivel so you can still be in bed and watch TV. So yeah, I mean me mostly, but we wanted to create this little cozy nook in the bedroom. I'll be able to read over here, knit, draw, sketch, whatever, do my cozy hobbies over here. So I wanted it to be very moody, very relaxed. And so I think this light is perfect at night. It has the mood lighting. We put that up. We still have to paint this wall and obviously patch these holes. The other update we made was we got one of the closet systems from IKEA. Justin built that into our closet. Our closet actually was too small for the system, so he had to make some custom cuts to the pipes, or like I forget what they're called right now. Anyways, he had to make some custom cuts in order for it to fit in the closet. But that led me to be forced to declutter my clothes. I'm sure, like most of us, we have clothes we don't actually use. We got rid of the dresser that was in here. It's just, well, now that we have the closet system up, we moved the stuff that was in the dresser into the closet. And I'm honestly really enjoying kind of minimizing what's in the bedroom. Space wise, it feels a lot better in here. I also ordered some lighting from, I think it's called Vacker Light, and they're based in Maryland, which is kind of funny because I was born in Maryland. I ordered some plug-in wall sconces for the bedside. So I got two of those. It's gonna probably be about a month for those to get here, which is fine. It'll give me a chance to finish painting. I did end up deciding to keep the blue and just lean into the moodiness of the room and just use accent colors to kind of warm up the cool blue tone. I want to just challenge myself. Those are the updates for the bedroom. Like I said, in the kitchen, we updated the light. I love it. I really did not like the pendant that came with the house. And I think this is just such an upgrade. I feel like it just feels right. I'm obsessed with the chrome. We also moved the desk that was upstairs. We moved it into the kitchen. I am on the lookout for a slightly smaller industrial style metal desk because the one that we moved down is really big. So it's okay for now, but I do want to have it a little bit smaller. We also installed the blue architecture lamp that we got from IKEA. We installed that in the kitchen on the desk. Yeah, I think those are all the updates. Now, moving into the tips on what I've done in my home. The first thing, honestly, this one was a little accidental. It was having a modular sofa. We bought this at our old apartment. We figured our spaces would get bigger, not smaller. Having the modular sofa, it's really allowed me to play with the layout. I already tend to move furniture quite a bit. I think someone commented like I beat them in the amount of times I move my furniture, but yeah, it's probably like at least once a week because our living room space is so small. It allowed us to just take off parts that just didn't fit in the living room, which this part that I'm sitting on is just part of the couch, but we are using it as a oversized chair in our bedroom. The other thing that we've done in the past, we don't have that right now, but stackable chairs. We've had stackable dining chairs in the past. We kept them as additional seating. Another tip that we used is making sure we're not buying like apartment size furniture. Again, we already had the couch that we had, but coming into the space, the previous tenant had kind of like a futon couch in the living room. And we did that even in the past. I think in our first apartment, we had an apartment sized sofa from Wayfair, and it really just made the space feel smaller. It kind of made it feel like you needed more pieces to fill up the space, and so you just ended up having a bunch of small pieces instead of just having one solid piece that fills up the space and it looks a little bit more elevated and like the room is zoned off for that space. Speaking of zoning, it helped us zone off our living room because the layout that it's in, we have the back of the couch kind of forming a hallway space from the entrance of our house to the living room, bedroom, and then down into the kitchen. The next tip that we used for ourselves is having lots of vertical storage. So we have lots of shelving throughout the house. If we can mount something, we'll mount it. Both TVs are now mounted, but when we didn't have the TVs mounted, you can really tell that difference just even like the couple of inches that the TV is taking up, for example. It seemed like the space was heavier with the TV on the console. Once we mounted it up onto the wall, it just kind of alleviated some of that space. It made the whole room feel larger. But this was probably one of the first things we did was we moved our dining room table away from the wall. The previous tenant, they had their dining room table just up against the wall, and as soon as I walked into the space, it just made it feel off in the way that there was a lot of negative space in the center of the room and everything kind of felt pushed up against the walls. It's an L-shaped kitchen. So yeah, there's already a lot of heaviness. And so having like a very robust dining table up against the wall didn't really help that heaviness. So to pull away from that, we physically pulled the dining table into the center of the room, which also the pendant is in the center of the room. So we wanted to center the table there. Initially, we had a rectangular dining table, but it made the space feel almost like too many corners, too many square and rectangle shapes. So we went with the round table and it made an immediate difference in the space. And then in our living room, we do have like maybe I think like 2 inches where the couch is separated from the wall. It helped with the flow of the room. Pulling away those big furniture pieces away from the walls, that's something that I think, especially in smaller spaces, you think you can't do, but yeah, once you try it, it's like it's a game changer. Some water. Okay. Curtains up to the ceiling. I mean, I think these are, I feel like if you're watching these videos, these are things you already know, which is why I just want to make it about like tips that I used for myself in my own small house. Yeah, just hanging the curtains up as close as you can to the ceiling and making sure you're getting the right size so that they also come down to the floor. Just like not really touching the floor, but maybe like an inch away from the floor. Yeah, when we moved in, the landlord had IKEA curtains already hung up. They were actually really nice linen IKEA curtains, and I kept them up for a while because I just was like, I mean, they're nice enough, even if they're not all the way up to the ceiling. But eventually we did get them up higher, and I wish I had done it sooner because our bedroom is off of the living room. And as soon as we go into the living room in the mornings, it's like a moment where your eye is like immediately brought up. You get to really enjoy the framing of the windows in the living room, the old architecture. It just brings you into focus. Yeah, bringing those curtains up. The next thing I've really played around with is the use of mirrors because our house has a lot of low light rooms. And so placing mirrors across from windows, across from the light source, helps to bounce that light around in the room. And I'm a plant mom, so I really need that light to be bouncing. We did that in the living room. We have our floor mirror there in the hallway, and it's across from one of the big windows. And I think it just also helps to make the room feel bigger. We placed the mirrors so that they frame certain views, and so you're not only taking advantage of that light, but you're also framing a view that in turn makes the room feel larger. Another thing we did was we opted for lower to the ground furniture. Our modular sofa is already a little bit lower to the ground. You can see like the pillows are quite low back, and that helps to create more space between the furniture and the ceiling. It kind of tricks your brain into thinking there's more space in the room. If you're going for like a more relaxed vibe, which I'm going for in here specifically and in the living room, it just helps the whole mood of the room feel more relaxed, more cozy, more comfy. We also ended up doing some custom cuts to our bed frame to get it lower to the ground upstairs in the attic. That was for a few reasons, but one of them being the ceiling in there is slanted. And so we wanted to have a feeling of like, oh, there's actually more space in here. One cool thing probably one of my favorite things that I did in the house was I painted the front door and I painted the sunroom door higher up than what the actual door was. I painted the trim around, but I also went up higher above the door. And that, especially with the front door, when you're walking from the kitchen to the front door, it gives it like a really grand feeling, like this door is so huge, the space must be huge. Extending the color above the actual frame with specifically a contrasting color to your wall, it gives the illusion of a taller door. I used this really pretty yellow. It makes the ceilings appear a lot higher up, and it helped to break up the wall space. This next one, I feel it was almost an accidental design element, but the curtains that I used in the living room and our bedroom are both linen material, but they're kind of sheer. That transparency has made it to where the room really feels airy and light, especially in the living room, because we get some of that south light coming in. And so when the sun is coming through those curtains, it's just beautiful. Our modular sofa is kind of like a heavier piece. We wanted to contrast that with a kind of more airy, softer curtain versus a very heavy fabric. And then another space we did this was the kitchen. We just got the IKEA dining chairs in the acrylic ones, the red ones specifically. So nice, especially when the light comes through and the light passes through the chair. It creates this red light pattern throughout our kitchen. Beautiful. But also it helps to keep the space lighter in contrast with the heavier cabinetry. The next design decision we made was to use rugs to zone off our house, especially when you're dealing with like one room that needs to have different zones. Rugs really helped us to create those zones. So when you come into our house, we have a long runner to create the hallway zone. We have a smaller rug for the living room zone. And then in the kitchen, we have a rug under our dining table. So that's the dining area. And then we have a runner that goes along the L shape. And that really helped us divide up the areas, especially, like I said, when it's one room with multiple functions. And also just making sure that we sized our rugs correctly. Like the runner takes up that full hallway. Same with the dining table. And then one last interesting decision we made, going back to the mirrors, is we used reflective material, something that's going to reflect. That helps to bounce off light, just like the mirrors. But yeah, those were just a few of the design decisions that we made in the house so far, because things are always changing. Hopefully that helps some of you with your own small spaces. I love small spaces. I love living in them. I hope to design for small spaces in the future. Yeah, thank you for being here. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, give it a like, comment. Thank you for all the comments on the last video. I love to read them. And yeah, hope you enjoy the rest of your week.
See, we had to completely remove all decorations, every component of what we've done. It's like, dang it, the paint. It's just like a micrometer too thick, like too wide. If we strip the paint that we painted on here, we'd probably get it through.
Once it's laid down, slide it towards me again so that it can make a full flip. Now slide it this way. Right there. And then once we push it up, it'll stand together.
Oh, I see. Great thinking. Is this what they're teaching in physics? Oh, she's done physics before.
Okay, now we're just slide